Welcome back to the channel. I'm sorry for the noise because today is very windy, but today we're gonna change the brake on my Kia Sedona 2018. This job is easy, but I got a lot of little tricks that is gonna help you to done this job without any problem. Okay, I jacked the car just under the hitch of my Sedona, but make sure that your is solid. But if you don't have an hitch, you can always jack the car on the pinch wheel, but make sure this is not rusty, because sometimes you can break this part. So make sure that you have some solid point to jack the car. Okay, don't forget to put the wheel under the car, so you're gonna work on safety. And by the way, I'm sorry for my English because my first language is French, but I will try to do my best to be well understand. This job is easy, but there's a kind of tricky parts for the beginners. The tricky part is that we got some parking brake shoe inside of this drum right there. So yes, this is a kind of drum like we see on the brake drums, and you got the portion with the disc at the outside, and we have to remove this bracket just right there to release the disc. But this is where sometimes people struggle. There's a bolt just right there. You see this one? This is the one that you have to remove to release the bracket of the caliper. So look, the access is very tight. So you have two options. The first option is to remove this arm, which is really easy to do. I'm gonna show you how. But if you don't want to remove this one, I'm gonna show you another way that you can reach this bolt. Okay, the first thing you want to do is to remove the caliper to see if it's good. So you will need a 14mm socket. Once that you unscrew this bolt, don't remove it, because you have to lock the caliper in place to unbolt the top one. So yeah, as you see, if I remove it, it will raise like this. So let a couple of threads in it. And now you can go with the second one. And now take a flat screwdriver and you can pop off the caliper. Okay, so just like this, this is the time to see if the caliper is good. Okay, so now you can use a C-clamp to push the piston, but to be honest, I like to invest a little bit on tools to make my life way easier. Those kind of tools are not expensive. I think you can have a really nice set for $25 on Amazon. So I'm gonna put a link of this tool in it, but you can always use a C-clamp. So you insert the tool between the piston and the bracket. Make it tight like this, and now you want to have a really smooth piston going in place, because if this is really hard to push or to turn, you get a bad caliper. So you're gonna need to replace it or rebuild it. By the way, I got a really nice video on how to rebuild those calipers. This is really easy, trust me. It worth the time to try it. So you're gonna have to push it down completely. So in this case, the caliper is really good because it wasn't hard at all to turn it in place. So you're gonna have plenty of room for the new set of pads. And now you don't want to let fall the caliper, so you can place it somewhere like this to make sure it don't fall, or you can strap it. And before to remove the caliper bracket, you want to make sure that your slider pin are free, because sometimes they can get stuck. And if it's your case, I'm gonna put a link of a video I done in the past about how to get out those slider pin and try to save them. But in this case, this is completely free, but I will pull it, clean it with a rag to remove the old grease. And I'm gonna put some brake part lubricant. It's a silicone based lubricant. I'm sorry for my bad English again. So you want to make sure to use brake grease, and now you spin the slider pin like this. And don't make the mistake to put grease in it. You always want to put grease all around it, just like this. Take your finger and you roll the grease around it. You don't want to put grease at the end of it, because you're gonna have some difficulty to push it back in, because it's gonna have a lot of grease at the end of this tube. Okay, and you want to make sure that your slider pin is not a lot rusty, because sometimes when the rust is just right there on the lip, the rubber can not sit properly around the slider pin. So make sure that your slider pin is clean, and if it's don't, clean them with a wire brush. So put it back. I like to turn it a little bit to make sure the grease is well spread in it. So now you got some really nice and free slider pin. And now you can remove the pads just like this. If they are stuck, you can always use a pry bar to remove them. As you see, this is what you want to see. If the both wear are even, that means that the slider pin work correctly. If one of the side is just like this, like I show you on the screen, that means that one of your slider pin was stuck and they were not evenly on each side. So this is what you want to see. So now it's time to remove the first bolt of the bracket of the caliper, this part right there. So this one is a 14-2. Okay, a little trick. Sometimes you're gonna have some rust build up all around it. Make sure to brush it to remove the rust, and sometimes you can use an hammer with a socket and you can tap a little bit to try to dislodge the rust. But as you see, this one is pretty clean, so this is not hard to remove. And now this one, so you can use a wrench like a 14mm, slide it between it and slowly try to remove it, but it will be long. Okay, so I would suggest you to loose the bolt with a regular wrench like this one first, and after this you're gonna use a wrench like this, a ratchet wrench. Those wrench you can buy it alone, so you can buy only the 14mm. They are pretty cheap on Amazon. You will pay somewhere around 15 bucks for this tool. So once you remove the bolt, you can ratchet slowly just like this until you're gonna release the bolt. Okay, so trust me, I tried the driver's side with only those two tools, and I was able to remove it and put it back with only those two tools. Okay, and if you are really passionate, you can try to do it just with a regular, but I will not suggest you to do that. And the easier way to do it is to remove this control arm right there. This is a 19mm, and as you see, there's a lot of crust around it, so make sure to brush it on both sides. Okay, you can use a little bit of hot tooth spray. I'm sorry, I have to plug it. And now you can use a regular wrench, a 19 wrench, or you can use your impact tools, which I have and which I'm gonna use. So it spins the other side. So just like this. Those bolts are really hard to break, so don't be scared to apply force around it. And now what you're gonna do, you're gonna just start the bolt, the nut, sorry, at the end of the thread, and you're gonna gently tap just like this to release the bolt. I'm gonna use a little flat screwdriver like this one. You can use a punch. can help you with the pry bar. Try to pry it to release the bolt. This is a great moment to clean the threads, and I will apply some anti-seize after it, so the next time I will remove it, I will not be worried about that. And now you take a hammer and just like this you remove the arm, and now you're gonna have a nice access. If you got some trouble, don't rush it. Make sure this is clean. Make sure to put some hot chew spray, or even use heat if you have some difficulties to remove it, because you really don't want to strip this bolt. But if you strip it, you can buy those kind of set of extractor. Trust me, with that you're gonna be able to remove it. Okay, so now you can remove easily the caliper bracket. So it's a good time to clean it with a wire brush attached to a drill. You can remove these little holders for the pads and brush right there. What I like to do, I like to take a brush, clean it, and put a very light coat of anti-seize on it to make sure there's no rust at all. You're gonna have to remove two little screws. There's one there, and the other one is there. You can use a Phillips head screwdriver. This is the number 3. You can always try to break it free, but to be honest, it's gonna be very hard. So take your screwdriver and hit the end of the screwdriver with a hammer if you don't want to buy this really nice tool. Again, I will suggest you to buy this tool. This tool is very cheap. You can find it easily around 20 bucks. I know that I'm gonna suggest you a couple of tools that you have to buy, but to be honest, even if you invest $80 to save the cost of the mechanics, I think it's worth it, because after that you're gonna have the tool for the rest of your life. So this tool is really made express for those kind of job. You just have to put the impact driver. This is the number 3 Phillips head, and you just have to punch with a hammer at the end. And just like this, it will be free. This is fantastic. This tool always saves me. And if, by example, the head is stripped, you can take a drill and and make a hole and drill this screw, because this screw only holds the disc when you install it. This is not necessary to put it back. Okay, again, I recommend you to put anti-seize when you're gonna put it back. The tricky part, sometimes it will move easily just like this, but sometimes the brake pad shoe inside of it can be stuck at each side of the brake. So what you can try to do, you see this little rubber grommet, I'm gonna remove it. So normally you should be able to spin it just like this, except if you are 4x4. By example, if you got a Sorento, this is normal that you cannot spin the wheel. So at this moment I suggest you to lift the rear of the car completely, so you will be able to spin the wheel of the car. Okay, and now you can try to play with the adjustment of the parking brake shoe. So with a flashlight, you're gonna light this way, and you're gonna see this part. You're gonna see this little kind of gear. So as you see, when I turn the gear, this part comes out, so you can make it more tight or more loose, so it releases the pressure on both sides of the parking brake shoe. So as you see, when I unscrew it, the distance is bigger. So you can try to roll down this little teeth to disengage the parking shoe brake. And this part is located just right there. So you're gonna have the center, and I'm gonna say at 5 minutes. So this is 12 midnight, and at 5 minutes, just right there, you're gonna see with the flashlight the teeth that I'm talking you about. So as you see, the hole is not center but just offset of 1 inch. So in this case, I can move the brake shoe very easily, so I don't have to play with it, but I'm gonna show you. So as you see, there's a lot of dust, so you have to push it down to make the shoe go inner, and push it up to make the shoe more tighter. So I'm just gonna remove them, clean it, and show you how to install it and remove it. So if you want to skip this part because you don't want to play with the brake shoe, go at this time, so you will skip this part. So to disengage the brake shoe, you're gonna have to remove a bolt under it. Okay, so first of all, you want to make sure that your adjustment is at the minimum. So you see there's no space between there and there, so we are at the minimum. And I'm gonna show you where you have to show you. So you see this little 8mm, this is a bracket that you're gonna have to remove. This brake shoe is one of the easiest brake shoe that I saw. So this is, don't be intimidated because there's no spring, there's nothing special about those brake shoes. So I really recommend you to maintenance them, clean them, grease them, to make them last a very long time. I'm gonna use a 1/4 8mm socket that I'm gonna put directly on the 8mm bolt to release the bracket. I'm gonna show you. So they are the OEM brakes. The rear brakes were never been replaced before. The proof that there is no anti-seize on the hub. So, oh, now start to rain. Gonna remove the screw. So this is the little bracket. She goes just like this. Those the two brackets up, and this is the 8mm screw that I talked you before. And now you can turn the shoe just like this. So when we're gonna put it back, we're gonna put it back just like we remove it. So we turn it like this and we remove it. So this is a great time to take a sandpaper and just scratch it a little bit and clean it with the brake cleaner. Okay, so now I'm gonna release this part. Oops.
He falls down, but make sure that you don't lose this little washer.
I'm gonna use the same thing that I'm using for the pads, the slider pin. So make sure that you are at the minimum, and now you can put it back. So you want it to be very well greased, just like this. And now you can place the tab this way, because I'm gonna show you. You want to place this part this way, because we're gonna put back the brake shoe in it, and after that we're gonna turn it. So make sure that you are horizontal. Okay, and now the other side. Okay, so make sure to clean it around it and put grease around it, just like this. So the same thing, you want to shape it to receive the brake shoe. Okay, when you push on the pedal for the brake shoe, I'm gonna push behind this plate right there. There's the wire for the brake shoe. So when I pull on it, as you see, it makes the little piston move. So when you push the pedal, it goes like this. So it forces the parking shoe to force inside of the disc. Okay, so now this is great. It's well greased, so it won't seize. And now what you're gonna do, you're gonna clean all this rust with a wire brush and with brake cleaner. Gonna clean everything. I'm gonna put some anti-seize on the two dots right there. This is a point of contact for the pads, sorry, for the brake shoe. So I'm just gonna put a very light coat of anti-seize on this point, and I also like to put just a bit of anti-seize at the end to make sure nothing seizes. But you don't want to go crazy with anti-seize. You really want to just make a light coat. Don't stress with that. This is really easy. Just take some patience. Just like this. Okay, so now what you have to do, clean this little bracket. And like I said before, it goes this slip down. And don't forget to put some anti-seize on those threads, because the next time you will remove it, it's gonna be much more easier. Take your box, your 8mm box, take the bracket, and I'm not gonna be able to show you, but this is really easy. You just have to screw this little bracket in place like it was before. Just like this. So now your brake shoe are done. Okay, so now we're gonna put back the disc in place, but before we have to remove this rust on the hub. And now don't go crazy with this step. You just want to put a light coat of anti-seize all around the hub. Okay, so now we are ready for the new disc, and you're gonna have to align the two little hole for the little screw with the hole of the disc. So something like this. So now put some anti-seize on your little screw to hold the disc, so the next time it won't seize. Just like this. And now I want to move the teeth to the top. Okay, so now it's too tight. Okay, you want to be able to turn it very easily, so I give it too much. So now I'm gonna turn down the screw. So sometimes this is the back plate that can make noise, so I suggest you to take a flat screwdriver and pry out a little bit the back plate. The more close your ears is gonna be to the noise, you're gonna be able to really determine where is the problem. So I really recommend you to try to pry out where the noise is coming from. Okay, so now this is really quiet. That's what you want. Okay, and it spins freely. By the way, those discs come in a bag just like this, so there's no oil to remove on the surface of the disc. But on some cheaper disc, you have to buy some brake cleaner and make sure the both side of the disc are clean, because you got a kind of film of oil all around it. So now that your brake is adjusted, you can put back the gourmet just like this, and now we are ready to put back the brake caliper bracket. Don't forget to put anti-seize all around the bolt, so the next time it will be easier. And now I will suggest you to start with the top one. Just want to start it by hand, and now you're gonna be able to do the bottom. So in this case I don't have the arm, so this is really easy to put back the bolt in place. But if you choose to let the arm in place, you can start by hand the bolt and gently tighten it until your wrench is gonna be able to reverse and screw it again. In my case, I got power tool, so I use it, but you can all do this job with a regular wrench. Just like this. Okay, so now it's time to put back this arm in place. To put it back in place, and don't be scared if the hole don't align. You can put a pry bar between the bracket and the arm to align the hole. Okay, so you see I use the wrench and I tap carefully on the wrench, because you don't want to break those threads. So just play. Okay, don't stress with this part. This is really easy. It just takes time. Use your brain and just try to move it out with the pry bar, and it will come in easily. You just have to don't rush anything and take your time, and I promise it will go in place. And now I'm gonna put some anti-seize on the bolt and put back the nut in place. Just like this. And you can also do a light coating before to put back the bracket in place, where sit the little bracket for the pads. I forget to do it before to install the disc, so it's easier to do before you put the bracket on the disc, because you risk to put grease on the disc. Just like this. Make sure they sit correctly, because sometimes they are not square, and that makes your pad very tight and it won't slide easily. Okay, so now I'm gonna put just a little bit of anti-seize on the end of the pad, and I like to spread it a little bit with my fingers, because you really want to have a thin coat. And now just have to push it like this, so you want your pad to move freely without any effort, just like this. If the pad is too tight, they won't work properly, so you really want to make sure they are loose. If they are not loose, it's because you got a lot of rust somewhere, so you got less space than it's supposed to be. So remove the rust and it should be fine. As you see, the pad with this little metal part is the side goes inside of the caliper. So on the piston side, this little bracket is gonna be your alarm to tell you that the pad are worn out. So this is what does this metal pin. By the way, I'm sorry again for my English. So like the other set of pad, a little bit of anti-size at the end of it, just a thin layer. And just like this. What I like to do is to put a thin layer of anti-size on the end of the piston, just like this, just to help moving. And I also like to put anti-size on those two areas where it contacts the pad, so it eliminates some noise. And by the way, if you got some trouble to remove the disc, I went too fast on this step, but if you are not able to remove it, take a hammer and tap gently all around the disc right there, and you can also tap right there if the disc is toast. And I'm gonna also put a link of a video that I done a couple of years ago on how you can take a bolt and use the hole for the bracket to push, to screw a bolt behind the caliper, so it's gonna push at the back of the disc, and it's very useful. And you can also use a jaw like this one to pull the disc if they are stuck because the brake shoe is stuck inside of it, or you got rust all around there. So now I'm ready to put back the caliper. Make sure to observe the line to not have twist line. You want it to be smooth and natural, just like this. And now it's time to put back your 14 millimeters. You might need a 17 millimeter wrench to hold the slider pin when you're gonna turn it. Okay, I don't give torque spec for the brake because, to be honest, just tight it and give it a little more. It's way than enough to be unsafe. So just make it tight and you won't have any problem. And by the way, if you had to change a caliper and you have to bleed it, I got a full video on how to remove how to make a flush on the brake system on this car. So I'm gonna put the link inside of the description too, if you are interested to see how we flush the brake fluid on those systems. This is really easy and satisfying to do, so I recommend you to go take a look. So this is it, guys. This is what it looks like to do a great job on your Kia Sedona. And don't forget, before you go on the road, you're gonna have to pump the brake at least 6-7 times to make it harder. So make sure that your pedal is stiff before even think to put it on drive. I hope my video helps you and convince you to do the job by yourself. Be free to ask me any question, any comments in the comments section. I will be happy to answer you. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.